Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this episode we're going to be talking about social media and the 11th house, okay, and who you are and the things that you will come across and how to approach it and some advice. All right, so this is very interesting because we are living in a social media age. It's the internet age, the Aquarius age, or almost. So social media is such a big part of our lives in society now. And when you look into your 11th house, this is going to give you an idea of who you are in social media, the things you'll come across, and how to approach it, or how you will approach it. Okay, and this is going to be based off of your 11th house sign and your the planet ruler. So if you have any planets in the 11th house, this is going to apply to. And before we get into that, of course, you guys know I have to remind you, if you're interested in my readings, I do readings. All you have to do is email me at samastroreadings@gmail.com. That's samastroreadings@gmail.com, and I'll certainly get to you. I do birth natal chart readings as well as tarot. So definitely email me and I'll get back to you. But yes, getting into the 11th house in your social media, okay? So the 11th house, ruled by Aquarius, rules the internet, rules social media, okay? This rules our connections, our network, and that's why social media is so related to our network, okay? Our friends, our followers, okay? All of that, how we network, how we branch out and connect to other people in society. And it's been taking over, so I thought this would be such a great topic and such a relevant topic for our generation, to take our 11th house very serious, okay? Because it's such a part of our lives. So look into your 11th house and look at what sign it is. Also, if there are any planets, okay? So if your 11th house is in Aries, or you have Mars in the 11th house, okay? Again, if your 11th house is in Aries or you have Mars in the 11th house, you're going to have a very combative way of dealing with social media, okay, and the internet, okay? Very combative, okay? Your image can be very controversial, okay? You can deal with a lot of hate, okay? A lot of fighting, a lot of arguments with people online, okay? Your approach with social media is going to be very blunt and very straightforward, and people are going to love you for that. You're going to have fans that love you for being this blunt, straightforward person. However, you can be so blunt and so straightforward that you really offend a lot of people, and this can cause a lot of rage, okay? You can offend a lot of people. You can get into lots of arguments. You want to be careful when you have Mars or Aries in the 11th house, because even though you guys could be 100% correct, okay, the approach is very important, okay? Because there could be certain things that you're not considering. You could be saying one very strong truth but neglecting the other, okay? So you got to be careful, because you can easily offend a lot of people and start so many riots, okay? Aries in the 11th house, Mars in 10th house, this is arguing with people. This is having opinions online that just cause rage, okay? And again, you could be such a trailblazer with this because you're so brave. Like, Aries in the 11th house people, Mars in the 11th house people, you know, when it comes to social media, you're very blunt and you can easily become a trailblazer, okay? You're definitely a leader because you think on your own. You don't care what the popular say is. You say what you want. So you definitely, again, can be very respected to a high degree as a leader and as a trailblazer and as someone who isn't afraid and willing to fight, okay? And if you have the logic to back it up, go for it, okay? My suggestion to Aries 11th house people and Mars in the 11th house people, if you have the logic to back it up, go for it. But if you don't, you will come across a lot of controversy, a lot of obstacles trying to get your point across. You know, you're going to get a lot of attacks. You're going to be fighting a lot of people, and it can be very, very, very draining, okay? One big thing I like to say about Aries in the 11th house people and Mars in the 11th house people is this could be a serious burnout, okay? This could be easily burnout, okay? Aries and Mars in the 11th house, because you could say things that gain so much attention, but because it was so controversial, it really didn't last. It was just shock factor. and then you have to reap the repercussions at the end. Like, and they could be really bad. The damage could be really bad. So you got to be careful of the adrenaline of wanting to just say something, do something on the internet, just for them views, just for that shock factor, just for it to ruin and burn everything else at the ending. It can be a very crazy burnout. So with Aries in the 11th house, Mars in the 11th house, people, be careful. Be more strategic. Yes, you are Aries. Yes, you are Mars, but you're in the 11th house. The 11th house is ruled by Aquarius. It deals with the mind and the higher mind and thinking outside the box. So you want to back this mind with logic, because that's what the mind is. If you're executing something in social media, make sure it makes logical sense, okay? I don't care how radical it is. I don't care how pumped you are to do it. Make sure it makes sense so that the backlash isn't crazy, because the burnout here could be crazy. The controversy here could be crazy. These are people who get into crazy controversies. They get canceled. They get into huge rageous arguments. It could be so draining. It could be a huge explosion. And it could be huge burnout. This could be people who get really big off a lot of clout and then they burn out from it because it had no structure, didn't last. You were just excited. So remember, logic and strategy is very much the 11th house. It's about the mind. So you will get checked if you put things out there and you don't think about what you're saying. The internet will check you. So yes, 11th house, Mars and Aries people, you guys are very much trailblazers, easily leaders, very motivated. But you just got to be careful, okay? Because yes, you guys are very rebellious, but you can be a rebel without a cause. You can cause a lot of fights. You can get into so many fights. It can really burn you out, okay? Social media can burn you out. And you can just be seen as someone who's controversial and causes mess, okay? So be careful with that. Make sure you're strategized so that you can be respected for the leaders that you are. Because you guys are truly trailblazers and real leaders. You guys are bolder than anyone. Definitely. So have your 11th house in Taurus, okay? Now, before I even go on with Taurus, I did not mention Venus. Now, I have a little unpopular opinion. I don't believe Venus rules Taurus. But that's for a whole different video. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about 11th house and Taurus people. Because I don't 100% associate Venus with Taurus. And you know what's so ironic about that before I even get to it? Taurus represents the standard, and the 11th house is all about breaking the rules. So you see how I'm doing something that's breaking the rules, breaking the standard, not associating Venus with Taurus. It's just funny. But anyway, getting back into 11th house Taurus, okay? If your 11th house is in Taurus, okay, you are much more practical, okay? You're a lot more conservative. Okay, you are not like the Aries out there doing crazy stunts, crazy things for views, saying crazy things for views, getting into all these arguments. You are more conservative. You don't do all that, okay? Taurus in the 11th house is a slower energy. So one thing to know about this energy is that this is not a quick climb. This is not a person who goes viral the next day. Your social media brand in terms of growth, if you are interested in content creating, it would be a slow growth, but a consistent one and one of value. So with 11th in Taurus, with 11th house in Taurus, if you have Taurus in the 11th house, you could definitely make money off of social media. You can definitely make money. This could be something you take into as work because Taurus represents money and value. So you could definitely make money off of social media if you take it as something to do as work, as business. So again, with Taurus, Taurus has a more drier energy. Okay, Taurus is very relaxed, very down to earth. It doesn't do all this social media stuff. If it's very much a standard. So again, this isn't the person like the Aries in the 11th house that's going on crazy, rebelling against everything, getting into fights, being crazy. They're not going to be doing this. This energy is more slower and stable and relaxed, okay? So therefore, when you do come with your ideas, which you do because everyone does, we all have an 11th house, when you do come with your innovative ideas, they will be structured. This is the powerful thing about this placement. Yes, it's much slower, which could be an issue. Social media, it's all about connecting fast, followers, growing fast. Like it's like the shortcut to make your business higher. So I'm gonna have to be honest, this is a slower growth, so you're not gonna have so much action going on with Taurus in the 11th house. It slows it down a lot. It slows down the connections a lot more, everything. It's a little bit more slower. But at least you're not fighting and getting to a bunch of fights and controversy like Aries and Mars. But it's gonna slow it down. However, if you stay consistent, which Taurus is all about, okay, if you truly value social media, you can turn this into money, into business. And with Taurus is very creative. So if you have 11th Taurus in the 11th house, okay, you can do something of value, something creative, something artistic, okay, or something that deals with finances, okay, business, money, creation, art, something of value. You can turn this into money. It just takes time and discipline and consistency. Okay, so Taurus in the 11th house, you guys have to understand this. If you're a person, you want to get into social media and use that as a quick climb, this is not the placement for it. This will slow it down. You have to value something, and whatever it is that you value, whatever skill that you have, creative, practical, because Taurus is both. You can turn that into money as long as you're consistent and constantly. So if you're a content creator, keep putting out your content, keep putting it out, whatever it is. And Taurus again is very creative, so they could be chefs, they could be artists, they could be good with their hands, maybe craftsmen, whatever they're doing, or just doing some type of job just for the money of it. If you're consistent with it, it can really grow into something. And that's the beautiful thing about this placement, is that even though it's slow growth, not only can you make money off of it eventually, but you also represent the standard. A lot of people, you won't get into a lot of controversy with this placement. You're not going to get into that because of the slow growth. You take your time. Taurus is very practical. They like common sense. They like to think things out and think things through. So they're not going to just push things out there. They're not just do crazy things out there. Everything is more strategized, okay? You have a more strategic way of approaching social media. So the things you do come up with really hold strong. They really hold strong in value. Either you're making money off of it, either what you're saying on social media makes a lot of sense and no one can argue with it because you take your time to say what is it that you say. And it could be so strong of value that you change the standard. Okay, you change the way people think permanently because it's so grounded with practicality and common sense. So you're the type of people that you don't speak a lot in social media, but when you do, it's profound. It's backed up with evidence. It's practical because that's how you move. So you can really be breaking the standards in a big way. So while Mars and Aries is really quick and out there, they could be causing a lot of chaos and energy. Whereas you're not as Taurus in the 11th house. You're not as fast like the Mars and Aries. However, when you do come, you come through and you come strong and you come permanent and bold. Okay, so that is the value. And that's what I'm saying. Like everything you guys do is of value. So again, you can turn this into a money, into business, into something that you make money off of, but you have to be consistent. And it is going to be a more slower ride up, So yeah, that's 11th house Taurus, a lot more chiller. They're not all with the personality and all that crazy stuff. They do things with practicality and with strategy. And if they're consistent, they will slowly but surely get up there. Now, if your 11th house is in Gemini or you have Mercury in the 11th house, okay? Mercury or Gemini in the 11th house, okay? You are going to be a master networker when it comes to social media, okay? 11th house loves being in an air sign planet. It loves that because 11th house is an air house. It is ruled by Aquarius, an air sign. So air signs do well in air houses. So an airy planet like Mercury or an air sign like Gemini is going to do well here because you can network. If you have Gemini or Mercury in the 11th house, this is like opposite of Taurus. You can network quick. You make a lot of friends. This could be a big following, big networking, lots of connections. This is very great because the whole point of 11th house in social media is to network, is to promote, is to put your stuff out there. The more followers, the bigger your business can be. The more you can promote, okay, the bigger it is. So with Gemini in the 11th house or Mercury in the 11th house, you guys can network. You guys can create a big following. It can be a fast growth. There's a lot of people you guys connect to. You guys know a lot of people, and you can be following a lot of people too, as well too, because it's given, it's like an exchange. So these are not even the people who are gonna be like following 2 people and have like 1 billion followers. No, they'll be following lots of people too, interacting with people as well too, and that's why people interact with them. So they are master networkers here. So you got Gemini here. You're gonna make lots of connections really fast, really quick. You're gonna love the information, all the information that you can spread around. Okay, communicating really quick. Okay, so this is really good. And also, the thing I like about Gemini and Mercury in the 11th house is that you're also airy. You're a little bit more superficial. You're not putting so much feelings out there into the internet for people to judge and pick apart, for you to get all stressed out. You understand that this is not that serious. Gemini is lighthearted. It's airy. Think of air. It's hollow. It's almost like superficial. Like, it's airy. So air placements, air houses, and air, like, you're not supposed to take it too deeply. Okay, so Gemini in the 11th house or Mercury in the 11th house, they understand that these are connections, these are followers. You don't have to put so much energy into it. Like Aries is sitting there fighting with people and getting to arguments and and breaking up friendships. Like Gemini ain't doing all that. Gemini's gonna put out their facts there. If people disagree with it, they move on to the next. Like, they're quick. They're not putting so much of their emotions and their feelings out into the public for them to get torn apart, because that's how you get drained. Okay, and that's what I said about the Aries and the Mars kind of burnout because of all that fighting. Whereas Gemini and Mercury, they could put crazy stuff like Mercury, Gemini, like, that's a crazy mouth too on the internet. They can say whatever, but they're so more lighthearted that a lot of it's not coming through deep emotions, and they can detach from the drama if chaos starts, because like I said, they can start drama. They can detach because, again, they have a very mental connection and relationship with the internet, with social media. Okay, they're not putting so much of their spirit, their feelings, their emotions, their soul into it. Okay, so it's a really great thing about Gemini, Mercury, and air houses in general is that they can be messy, just like fire in the 11th house. But they're so much more detached. They're so much more not putting their egos into it. They're just putting out information. They're just saying whatever. They move on to the next topic. So the versatility, the detachment is great. This is a person who's not going to get super duper stressed out from social media because they know how to detach. This is an air sign. It's an airy approach. Okay, it's not a fiery approach. It's not even a watery approach. It's very emotional. We'll get to that. But it's an airy approach, okay? And Earth is dry too. So Earth doesn't take things personal, just like Taurus in the 11th house. However, the beauty of air is it is extroverted, so they get to make so many connections. Earth, yes, they're not going to take things personal, but they're also not putting a lot out in social media. They're not making a lot of statuses. They're not posting a lot. They're not doing as much as an air sign. An air sign could get all into the action, get messy, and still have a detached approach. So that's amazing with Gemini and Mercury in the 11th house, okay? The only thing I would say is to take it to the next level would be thinking outside the box. Yeah, it's a very great placement, super popular, super smart, very communicative in that area approach. They could just have so much fun. If your 11th house is in Cancer, or you have Moon in the 11th house, you're going to have a very emotional approach, okay, to social media. Okay, and with water, this is more conservative energy. So Cancer's all about the home and nurture and feeling comfortable. So social media, which is ruled by the 11th house, which is society, the internet can be too much, okay? You're more shy. You have more of a conservative approach. So if your 11th house is in Cancer, or if you have Moon in the 11th house, this can be very similar to that conservative approach that Taurus has. Okay, water and earth signs are more conservative. And Cancer is no exception. And Cancer rules a home, so it's sheltered. So these are people that don't like to put themselves out there that much, okay? And if they do, it could get very emotional and deep, and it could feel unsafe. Like, this could be like sharing something very intimate, and it's like, ugh, why did I even share that? Like, this is for me. So these people are more conservative. This isn't going to be like the networky Gemini Mercury in the 11th house, where they're out there networking, putting themselves out there. Like, this one is more conservative, but still very powerful because of the emotional approach. So Moon in Cancer, 11th house people, you can be seen as nurturers. And you can have a very occult-like family. Occult-like following. This is because your following is like family. You're creating this kind of environment that feels nurturing because you represent the Moon, the Cancer in the 11th house. So you're the nurturer, you're the mother, you're the emotional security blanket for a lot of people in social media. So if you do get big on social media, if you do have a presence on social media, it'll be seen as like kind of like mama, like you're just like the emotional security blanket. People really connect to you, and that creates a very strong following. The people that follow you are like, it's an occult following. They're like connected to you. They feel like family. This is people who are obsessed with you, really attached to you, really look up to you because you feel like their mama. You feel like someone who's nurturing them. You feel like someone who's a protector. So very powerful influence, okay? Because like I said, Cancer Moon in the 11th house can be very conservative and nitpicky about who they follow, but that kind of energy creates a cult following, a following that's very emotional about you, connected to you deeply. Okay, so you cannot play with this type of fan base. It can be hard to create because of the conservativeness, but when people tap into that energy, this is the type of following that they create. So very deep like that, okay? It can be very deep. This is more conservative as well too, more shy, okay? So it will take time to get out of your shell with this type of energy. But the people that you allow in your inner circle is such a strong one. It's such a one that's with family. You can also heal a lot of people through your social media. Okay, healing people, emotionally healing people, feeling like that security and that comfort. That's why people connect and latch to you so strongly. Okay, so this is a very powerful thing, especially to understand with water placements in the 11th house is 100% an occult following. People could be very attached to you because of how you can make them feel secure. But this could be stressful for you too. Okay, like again, you're naturally more shy, you're more conservative. So social media isn't the best place for you. It isn't your natural expression or your natural habitat or home. Okay, so you can conserve and hide away from social media a lot. Okay, hide away from social media. But by hiding and not expressing yourself and seeing the people that do connect and relate to you strongly, you're missing out on that. You're missing out on the family that you can create. So don't be so cold. 11 Cancer, 11 Moon in the 11th house and Cancer in the 11th house people. Don't be so closed off that you fail to make any connections at all. And because of that, become emotional because you feel like you have no one to connect to on social media. Okay? Express yourself so that you can find the people that you can connect with. And the people that don't work, keep that shield. It's just not for them. It could be hard again for Cancer Moon house people to deal with rejection, deal with criticism, deal with any of that type of stuff that the internet and social media has so much of. It could be so much to even like post something and not get any likes, and then you feel really emotional about that. But it's like, if you can get over that and just post anyway and express yourself anyway, you will find a people that actually closely and deeply connect to you. You're meant for a cult following, so tap into it and don't be so shy. Okay, because you guys are healers and nurturers, and people, again, they really look out, they really get connected to you. So don't be too shy, and then nurture yourself, because you are sensitive. You know, again, you have a reason to feel this way because you are very sensitive. And the criticism and the detachment can be a lot. Again, this could be a tough placement because like, Cancer is more shy, it's more protective, and you're putting it out there for all this criticism, all this nitpicking, all this, it could be a lot, you know, on this energy. But if you take it slow and you protect yourself and you don't take things too deeply and you express yourself anyway, you'll find the people that connect with you, and it won't be so hard and challenging, and you won't have to be so shy, and you'll realize that you can use your unique ideas to nurture and heal other people. So definitely a powerful placement. Okay, but definitely a much slower conservative growth. Okay, they gotta definitely get out of their shells because it can be scary for these people. If you have Leo, okay, or the sun in the 11th house, Leo or the sun in the 11th house, you are a star on social media. You are a star. You like to show off. You could be an entertainer on social media. You could look really good, look really sexy, be hot. Your pictures get so many likes. You are a star in social media. You love to express yourself and entertain people. You're warm, you're good looking, you're attractive, and you give out so much positive energy. You use this as a place of entertainment. You entertain other people. Okay, and people worship you. People look at you as godlike. You could just like have such a magnificent, creative, and attractive expression. And you're confident in social media too. You know, that's the thing. Like, everyone can't put themselves out there. You know, I've heard it's hard to post on Instagram now. It's just like you get so nervous. But you people, you guys push yourselves anyway. I don't have to convince you. You guys know you gotta put yourselves out there. So you guys put yourselves out there, and then because of that, you guys really shine on social media. Okay, the thing about it though with Leo in the sun house is Leo is opposite of the 11th house, because this is the Aquarius house. Okay, so Leo is opposite of this energy. So at one moment, yes, you are a star. You get a lot of attention. You can have lots of followers with this placement. People could just really look up to you. You could be that shining star in social media because of your energy, your presence, your personality, and how you're just so confident. However, you can do so much. You can be so narcissistic, so egotistical, and get so much criticism for it. Sun and Leo in the 11th house could be a huge ego check, because the 11th house is the social media internet landscape. And one thing about the internet loves to humble people. Loves to humble people and their egos. It seems, honestly, I feel like the 11th house is, like, the internet is humble nation. Like, social media can be humble nation because this is where people get so much criticism about your looks. This is where the memes start. This is where people repost your stuff. This is where people drag you on Twitter. All for what? Ego things. Being all into yourself. Being delusional. So with Sun in the 11th house, you can be so into your image and just being very delusional and cocky. People will check you. You will get checked with this placement. So you have to understand that even though you are entertaining, you are attractive, you are beautiful, if you overdo it, the internet will check you. These social media people will see right through it. Okay, it is a place to be criticized. And with Sun and Leo in the 11th house, it can be hard to take criticism. It can be hard on your ego to take criticism. You post a picture and you get all these negative opinions. You get some negative opinions. You know, you get positive opinions, but you just got some negative opinions and those stood out more. You know, have you ever heard of that when people post something and they have all these positive things, but they focus on the negative? That's because the ego can be a horrible place for the 11th house. The 11th house is a place where it checks the ego because it is ruled by Aquarius. So you will get checked a lot over it. Get over your egos. The internet will check you. It will check on your lies. If you said something and then you act in this way, it'll check on what you did back then. It is an ego checker. It does not forget. You cannot create illusions, the sun, Leo. You can't create illusions to hide. People have receipts on the internet and social media. And with Sun, Leo in the 11th house, there's nothing wrong with being entertaining and expressing yourself. I'm not saying that you're going to get checked right off of that. People are going to love you. But if you take that ego to the next level, which is easy for you to do, and you start getting delusional, or you start getting very sensitive because you can't handle a couple negative comments, it's going to be hard for you because you're going to get your ego checked. So start doing things for people. 11th house deals with society and how you contribute to it. So instead of just showing off your abs and doing something just about you, do something in a way that helps other people. Do something in a way that pleases society. Do something, be for the people. And I'm telling you, you will get less criticism. You won't get so much ego checks. You can still be hot and sexy, but do it in a way where you're helping, where it helps and contributes with other people. That's the best way. Be hot, but do it in a way that helps people. Be entertaining, but do it in a way that helps people. It contributes to people. You know, so that intellect, that smartness needs to come up, okay? If you have Sun in the 11th house or Leo in the 11th house, you can't just rely on being hot and sexy and creative online. Keep doing that because it'll get you attention, but to take it to the next level, use that to market something that'll help somebody else in any type of way. Be for the people. Use your attractiveness, your energy, your confidence to help people, to be for the people, and you'll get the best. You don't lose your sense of creativity and your attractiveness. You just add an extra layer, which is that humanitarian, that being for the people, and that just makes you the most attractive at all. So if you are able to master that, Leo and Sun and 11th house people, you really move on. That's when people love you. You're going to get all the love. So if you have Virgo or Mercury in the 11th house, okay, Virgo or Mercury in the 11th house. Now, notice how Mercury, it rules two signs, Gemini and Virgo. So there's one side of Mercury that's very communicative. That's like the Gemini. But then there's also one that's very analytical and practical, and that's the Virgo. You have Virgo in the 11th house. You like to work in here. You're a bit more conservative. This is going to be a different type of Mercury. This is not going to be like the Gemini, okay? And if you have just Mercury in the 11th house, you can pretty much look at both Gemini and Virgo readings. So you can look at both because you can either express either side. But with the Virgo side, the emphasis on the Virgo, this is going to be more conservative. So Virgo in the 11th house, okay, and this type of energy isn't quick. It's not like Gemini where they're making all these super connections. Virgo, you can see the connections that you can possibly make. You might be researching a lot, looking at where everyone is, but you're not necessarily communicative enough to network and connect. So this isn't going to be like your quick come up, like you're super popular with Virgo in the 11th house. You can be, but there has to be a practicality to it. There has to be a work, okay? This is the work. This is the part of Mercury that's about work. So this can become, social media isn't going to gradually go really fast for you. You're not going to make all these connections. You're more conservative, okay? You're more so about analyzing and seeing the whole scene, okay? To me, Virgo in the 11th house versus like Gemini 11th house, Gemini 11th house would be like, oh, you go into like a scene, right? In the internet, and you connect with everyone. You follow all of them, you blog, whatever. Virgo in the 11th house to me is like you go to that same scene, but before you start following everyone, you just study the scene first. So you read everyone's posts, you see who's there, like you're kind of studying it first. And then once you study the whole scene, then that's when you start following, and you follow the people that you feel like makes sense, that's practical, that makes sense for the way that this whole scene functions. You see how different that is? It's like one is more communicative and extroverted, is the Gemini one. It's about connecting. That's why they make so many connections and followers. And then Virgo is more like the thoughts, the inner, it's more introverted. So it's about studying and seeing the scene, and then you start connecting with everyone and the ones that you feel that are most needed. okay, because it's very practical. So that is Virgo. You can be really picky about who you follow because you're busy trying to study the scene and see who are even the important people to follow, if it even makes sense, if it even is worth it. So the come up is slower because it's more strategic. You're not going to get all this following. But if you strategize and you follow the scenes and you put in the work, you can start connecting with lots of people. Okay, I mean, once you study the scene and you start connecting with the right people and the people you feel are valuable, you get right into it. Okay, it just takes more work and takes more strategy. You're a slower climber, a slower networker, but a very smart strategic one. So once you start connecting, you usually connect to the right people. Also, Virgo is work. So you can turn, again, every earth sign in the 11th house, you can turn this into a job. You can turn this into money. Okay, now 11th house is with Virgo here. It's going to be work, consistent routine. So if you're a content creator, you're constantly posting once a day. Like, just make it a routine. Consistency. Okay, this is going to gradually build your stuff up. Okay, and then you'll eventually start making some money. You'll eventually start getting a big following. You'll eventually start building. All you need to do is make it a routine, make it a lifestyle. Okay, and this can become big for you. So you got to put in the work, but the work is so strategically done because it's Virgo energy and you guys are so analytical, and so you guys have great work ethics. You guys are consistent. You guys are all about routine. You guys build pretty well. It just takes some time, and you're a little bit more conservative. You're not too communicative. Okay, these are not the people that are going to be out there lashing out like I said with Aries and Mars, in the 11th house, You're not gonna get into all them arguments and stuff like that. You're more conservative, with your thoughts, okay? You're more strategic with them, Sun, Leo, in the 11th house, you guys can be big and boisterous and just do things just based off of just the way you feel, from spirit. It's a fire energy, whereas Virgo, being in this earth energy, is a lot more conservative. It's a lot like Taurus. You study the things, okay, that you say. And you can get a lot of criticism here. Okay, with Virgo in the 11th house, okay, a lot of your social media fans and people can criticize you a lot, so you got to be on point. Everything you say can be criticized. Okay, so it takes a certain discipline to express yourself here. This is why you don't go out expressing yourself so quickly, because you got to make sure what you're saying actually makes sense. Very, very important and very big thing when it comes to earth signs. They take their time, but even more with Virgo, because Virgo is criticism. Okay, Virgo rules criticism. Wherever Virgo is in your chart, there will be a lot of criticism. So in the 11th house, you can get a lot of criticism. And this is because you're challenged to perfect the unique ideas that you have to say. Okay, so let's do a little compare and contrast. With Sun and Leo, you are being challenged in terms of your ego, of how you express yourself to the world. You're being challenged to be more humble, to contribute more. With Virgo, with your unique ideas, you're being challenged in the accuracy. You're being challenged in how much it makes sense and through all the details. So when you are expressing yourself and giving out your unique ideas and the internet, they will go through lots of criticism. It'll go through lots of criticism. Okay, it's going to be chopped down, dissected. This is to make sure that what you're saying is perfected. So Virgo, that's why your climb is also a little slower too, because you got to make sure you perfect. Okay, if you have a big brand that the universe is preparing you to be, and he has or she has Virgo in the 11th house, it's to perfect it. It's to get it to work. It's to make sure it is correct. So with Virgo in the 11th house, you have a responsibility to get what you're saying, make sure it's correct. There's a lot of discipline here. And if you practice before you express yourself, before you communicate, and you really take the time to practice and study, whatever you're promoting, whether you're expressing on the internet, will be more respected, will be respected as something that is well thought out. Okay, you'll gain a lot of respect as someone who's kind of like perfect. Almost, okay, because your stuff are well thought out, and the criticism that you get from online is going to make sure that you do think before you speak, and make sure it's well thought out. So Definitely a very powerful placement, okay, with the accuracy. Okay, that's why it takes the practice. But that is, okay, part one, okay, in 11th house and your social media, okay, and how this represents you, okay, and how to approach it and the obstacles that you will deal with, okay. I'll be going through the rest in part two, Libra all the way up to Pisces, okay, so definitely stay tuned for that 11th house. I hope you guys enjoyed this very important topic, okay, because like I said, we live in the social media realm, okay, we are in the social media life, so it's important to understand how to approach this and deal with it, and understand why we deal with it so differently, whether it be growth, your feelings, how you express yourself, what you can take out of it. So hope you guys enjoyed that, okay, and if you did, definitely book a reading with me, all right, and I'll check you guys out on the next video. Thanks for watching.